What do the following words have in common? Dictator, dictation, dictionary. Of course, they all have the root dict, but what do you think that root means? Dict means to say or to speak, and if you know this root, then it can be useful in helping you memorize or recognize other words. So if you think about it, a dictator is someone who tells other people what to do. If you take a dictation, someone is talking to you and you're typing down what they write. And of course, if you look in a dictionary, you can find lots of words. Now, if we take this root, we can mix and match the root with different prefixes to come up with different words. For example, if we predict something, we know that prefix pre means before, so a prediction is something you're saying before it happens. Or we might try an edict. E is the same prefix as an X, as an exit or exterior. It means out. So an edict is something that you're saying out. Now, what does that really mean? Well, an edict is like a proclamation or something that perhaps a dictator might make. Now we might try a prefix like contra. Okay, contra and counter mean opposite or against. Think about contraband, which is against the law, or counterclockwise, which goes opposite of clockwise. So if you contradict someone, you're speaking opposite or against them. Now we could add a suffix on here. And this suffix takes the word and turns it into a noun. So a contradiction is a thing, whereas to contradict someone, that's a verb. Now let's say we take our base here as a noun. We could add on the prefix bena. Now, if you've taken French or Spanish, you'll recognize the word bena, or you could just recognize it from the word benefit. Okay, bena means good. So what then is a benediction? A benediction is good speech. In other words, it's a blessing. Now we could swap out the bena for a mal. And again, if you've taken French or Spanish, you'll probably recognize that mal is bad, like someone who's malevolent or perhaps maleficent. Okay, so what do you think a malediction is? Well, if you happen to know someone named Maleficent, then they might pronounce a malediction on you. A malediction is a curse. Now, of course, dict is not the only root that has to do with speaking or with your voice. In this case, if you look at what this lady is doing, she's vocalizing with her voice. And the root of that word comes from voc or voc or vox from Latin, which means voice or call. So if you think of the word vocals or vocalize, those are easy words that you probably already know that contain that root right in there and can be a key to help you remember what the root is, and then hopefully apply it to other words that maybe are a little more difficult. Now, again, we can take that root and we can mix and match with our prefixes. For example, we could put a re on there. And this is not the re that means again, like repeat. This is the re that means back, like when you revert, you sort of go back. Okay, so if you revoke something, what do you think you're doing? Okay, to revoke is to call back. So it's basically like to cancel or to repeal. So if you made an edict and now you're revoking the edict, you're canceling what you said. Or we might try invoke. The prefix in means in, like interior. So if you invoke, you're calling something in. So you might think about invoking a deity with a prayer. You're calling them in, asking them for help. Or we could put a con on here. And con and co, like your coworker, mean with or together. So what do you think you're doing if you're convoking something? Or if we add that suffix ation on there to turn it to a noun, what do you think a convocation is? A convocation is calling people together. It's like a meeting. Now let's try this one. If you equivocate, you've got voc there for call or voice. You've got equo, which means equal. If you equivocate, you think, well, what does that mean? Are there equal voices? In this case, I don't know that the prefix and root help you out too much. If you're equivocating, you're sliding between the meaning of words. You're being deliberately ambiguous with your language. On the other hand, if you look at unequivocal, in that case, I think that knowing the word parts can help you memorize what the word means. So again, think equal voices. In this case, there are not equal voices, which means there's one voice, which is the right voice. If something is unequivocal, it's the way it is. You can't argue with it. Now here's another root for you, locu or locu, okay, which means talk. And you can see it in the words eloquent. If you're eloquent, you speak very fluently, very, very skillfully. And elocution, which is the art of public speaking. Now, if we take context and word parts, morphemes together, then we can help, we can figure out the meaning of words that we may not be familiar with. So let's take this sentence. Certainly, startup founders' personalities vary widely. Some are outgoing and loquacious, others are introverted and reticent. So in this sentence, context gives us two pairs of words that are opposites. So we've got outgoing versus introverted. Those are opposites, right? If you're introverted, you're kind of maybe shy or you turn inwards. Okay, and loquacious and reticent. If you're reticent, you kind of hold things back. Now, loquacious is going to be the opposite of that, and note that it's got the root locu, which means talk. So what do you think loquacious means, based again on the morphemes and on the context? Okay, the word loquacious means talkative. If you're loquacious, you like to talk. All right, so we've got dict, say or speak, voke, vox, voice or call, and then locu or locu, talk and speak. And with these, then there are many words that are going to be easier for you to either memorize or to figure out the definitions of. So a dictum is a saying. Diction is word choice. If you indict someone, and note the pronunciation there, you're charging them with a crime. So again, the idea of speaking. If you advocate, you're speaking for someone or something. If you're vociferous, you're speaking about something very loudly and energetically. You're on fire. And if you circumlocute, then you are speaking in circles. Circum means around, kind of like the word circle. So you're not getting to the point. Useful roots, useful words. Let's learn them.